Hey button pushers, my name is Nick and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. So last time I had a plan going into it. I knew what I was aiming for, but then it got to youth and I'd screwed it. I needed more manipulation and I didn't have enough because I needed to get my perception and ingenuity up in earlier stages and I hadn't. I'd been too focused on willpower and I didn't have enough and I ended up in the same boat as my first playthrough, which is obviously not what I want. So we're starting again, for the second time. So I'm going to go through, same as before, I'm going to rush through everything. I'll give like updates on everything that's happening, especially when it gets to the decisions, and if there's a new section we haven't seen before, I'll read through it properly. So this should be quite a blitz through, but hopefully this one goes better. First decision, and I've already stumped myself, because I know I need perception and ingenuity, but I also need to get some willpower straight off the bat. Although I feel like there's more chances to get willpower than there is to get other stuff, so I'm gonna get perception right off the bat. So I'm gonna reach out to the palm where there's the two palms and the shadow greeting me at birth. I'm gonna reach out to the palm, which I don't think I've done before. Your little palm awkwardly clasps the soft finger. You explore your mother's hands by touch. She smiles gently as her arms wrap around you and lift you up. She smells of home, that indescribable smell, that feeling of safety that is second to none. Her embrace is the warmest place in the world, a place you want to stay for all eternity. Oh, that was adorable. Okay, I've been born. We're off to a start. I'm not saying a good start because it might not be. We're off to a start. Okay, so hide and seek. Stefan and Gloria have played hide and seek with me. I'm 1 year old and they put me in a bush. So I'm going to do what I did on the last playthrough and I'm going to cry loudly because that gets me some willpower. Sitting and waiting does get me perception, but I need to get some willpower. So at least I've got some in the bank now. Just need to be careful about using it. Really, I just need to hold on to it until Sophia's about to get killed by horses, because then I can do something about it. Okay, so the Great Descent, so I'm in the attic with Gloria, and she is singing the prayer to the twins, so I'm going to finish it properly, because that gets me perception. Be interesting to see what the other one is, because I've never done the other one. And I'm sure that will come on another playthrough. I'm now curious. I'm a curious little baby. Okay, so I'm being punished for retaliating against Stefan because he hit me with a stick and I hit him back. And obviously, because I'm a commoner and he is not, that is sacrilegious. So last time I accepted my punishment, which knocks down a bit of willpower but makes Lydia grateful. I'm, however, going to demand an explanation, which is what I did in my original playthrough, because that gives me perception. I know that this is going to stop an action from being able to be done further down the line, but it's not a big one. It should be okay. Just, I need the perception. I need it. No, so Gloria's got in trouble because she was meant to be looking after me, and she wasn't. She was outside writing her poems, which she's a commoner. Bad behaviour. You're not allowed to have thoughts and feelings. How dare you? So I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to offer to write rhymes with her, because that gives me perception. The alternative is comfort your sister, which knocks down some willpower, or leave the room, which gains willpower. I already have 10 willpower, so that's fine. We'll go for perception. And new story content, so, you know, win-wins. Wins across the board. Mother leaves. The last of your sister's poetry burns away in the fireplace. You hug your sister and whisper to her. Let's go to the library, you say. The two of you can hide under the table and write something together. Gloria shakes her head violently. Mother said no. There's no way she would ever defy her. You reassure her that it will be your secrets. You pull Gloria to the library. She fights you, but you refuse to relent. You carefully peek inside. Your sister takes a small book from one of the shelves, and you read it together under the table. It's a book of poetry about eternal love. Gloria clearly adores it. You decide to write a poem of your own. She recites a line in an ecstatic voice, and you repeat it after her and offer a rhyme of your own. She nods happily. You do this until the day ends. You've written a poem of your own and learned it by heart, but not a single line of it has been committed to paper, which means that you stay true to your mother's rule. I'm happy with that. So this is the decision that I knew I wasn't going to be able to make. She's basically having a meltdown about Nathan being a baby that doesn't sleep and cries all the time, because some babies are like that. So I am going to call Father for help, because that gives me perception. Which I wouldn't have thought that gave me perception, but it does, and I've never done this before, so I'm intrigued about this one. You run away to Father's study and stammer out a plea for help. Father gets up immediately and runs back with you. He barges into Mother's chambers and embraces her and baby Nathan with all his might and love. She screams at him at first, crying how she's tired of everyone. He whispers something in response, then takes Nathan from her and says she should lie down and rest. Then, suddenly, Nathan stops crying. Mother looks around and sees you standing next to Father. My son, please forgive me. I'm so sorry you had to see this. Thank you for going to your father for help. The twins know I didn't want to hurt anyone. Mother's face is covered in tears. Everything will be alright now, Father tells you. You can go. You leave in quiet joy as Mother calms down and Nathan falls asleep. Father won't let anything bad happen. Okay, that's good. I think my initial, about that was that Father was going to be a bit of a dick about it, but Robert's alright. He's alright. Ooh, I've got the ant farm. I didn't get that my last redemption playthrough because my perception wasn't high enough. Interesting. So the options for the ant farm. So Mother's bought me an ant farm and we've spent the day together because everyone else is out for some reason and we're home alone. So we've been playing with this ant farm and I can either keep playing with Mother, which before I was like, well yeah, obvious decision. It gets me +5 willpower, or I can play by myself, which gets me a new destiny point, which I've never got before, which means there's probably an achievement assigned to it, which means I'm probably going to do this one, to be honest. It does knock down Unity by 1, which is okay, and Perception goes up by 1. So I'm going to ask Mother to leave me alone, which feels like a dick move, admittedly, but woman, I need the perception. You move away from Mother and pull the glass box towards yourself. She looks at you in surprise, but she gave it to you. It'll be easier to learn about the ants on your own. Mother sighs and stands back up. Oh, I'm sorry, Mummy. Very well, I understand. You want to find your own answers. You've grown up so quickly, my son. The door creaks quietly as it closes, and you're left to your own devices. You spend a long time watching the ants at work, and then you decide to go outside and find them some bugs to feed on. Once your haul is in the tray, you note which bug they drag away and which they leave untouched. Day after day, you keep the tray full of food, provide the insects with plenty of water, and remove dead ants from the farm. Your tiny subjects still refuse to change their peculiar ways. It's just as Mother said, the ant farm is exactly like the world we live in. The ants will never know that you're there. Okay, so there's disagreements in the Brante family now. But I have 6 perception. And I got an achievement. Perfect. Because that 100% is once I've done all of the story arcs I can do, I'm definitely going to go through and get all of the achievements. There's like 85 achievements in this game. It's ridiculous. Okay, so the toy soldier incident. We've gone to a toy shop. We found a toy. A noble child pushed us. We pushed them back. They fell. They cried. Their daddy got annoyed. Our daddy got annoyed. And here we are. I'm going to deny my guilt, which I think I did last time because that gives me extra willpower. It means daddy's going to get stabbed. But this is fine. He'll live. Yeah, this is exactly what I did before. Cool. And now I'm dripping in willpower. Oh, Gregor Bronte's coming to town. Yay. Interesting. So now I have a high perception. I can watch them melt helplessly, which I've never been able to do before. I'm getting all sorts of new story content here. This is great. So, grandfather, in his intrusion and basically dissemination of the house, he saw the toys in my room and, belonging to a low-born filth child that I am, he picked them up and threw them in the fire. So I'm going to watch them melt helplessly. Which really doesn't seem any better than burst into tears, but it gets me willpower and perception, so I'm going to have 25 willpower after this. Amazing. The wood crackles, the tin melts. The unpleasant smell of burning paint fills the room. Father grimly orders the servants to douse the fire and clean the mess that was your birthday present just a few moments ago. You watch the servants at work with a strange fascination, experiencing an odd feeling of freedom. It all seems right now. It's time for you to grow up. Grandfather leaves to examine the other rooms of the house. Interesting. An interesting viewpoint, sure. So Gregor has brought Baroness L. Lodar to the house to basically set her up with Father because he doesn't like Mother as his wife. He wants him to have a new wife. Because, as I've said so many times before, he's just a festering, steaming pile of feces. So I'm going to do what I did before and walk away with Mother, which knocks down the family reputation a little bit, but gets me more perception, which is fine. It's good. I can live with that. They are acceptable gains and acceptable losses. Oh my god. So many stat changes. Also, I have a sickening amount of perception right now. I am so perceptive, it's imperceivable. That's not a word. Okay, just to further boost my perception when it comes to the kaleidoscope and the fact I've been playing with a kaleidoscope all day, I'm going to take the kaleidoscope apart, which I have never done before. Because that knocks me down 5 willpower, which is okay because I have 25, and it gives me 1 perception. You examine the kaleidoscope as curiosity overtakes you. There's something strange rumbling around inside of it. It has to be a mystery of some kind. You're dying to figure it out, itching to understand how it works. You rip away the wooden cylinder on the wide end of the kaleidoscope. Inside, you see 3 elongated mirrors, put together to form a triangle. The transparent glass shield falls out onto your knees. A bunch of glittering, tiny baubles scatter onto the table. There was nothing infinite inside, you realise. It was just a clever trick. With a heavy heart, you go to your sister's room and confess to breaking the kaleidoscope. Gloria is sad, but not angry with you. She asks you to promise never to take her things apart again. You promise. I'm sorry. Get to a 9 perception and 20 willpower. We're on Sweet Temptation, so I've had a sweet of Grandfather's. Gloria was about to, and then Grandfather came back in the room, caught us, and is just doing his whole thing. So before I mocked him, which was just infinitely hilarious, but I'm going to tell the truth because again, knocks my willpower down a little bit, but leaves me with 15, which is good. But keeps my perception at a nice upwards trajectory, which pretty sure this is what I did. Yeah, this is what I did in the main playthrough. So I tell him that yes, I had one, but Gloria didn't. And he just doesn't give a shit and beats us both anyway. Right, maximum perception, so I don't need to try and get perception anymore. I am maxed out. Which does mean that in Adolescence, all I need to do is get 3 ingenuity, and I'm good. Okay, now I'm gonna... So we're at the sacrament. Me and Nathan are receiving our lots, which is obviously our lot is to suffer, so therefore we will be whipped. I'm going to do what I've done both times and kiss the sword, which knocks my perception down 1 and my willpower down by 10, but... Or do I? No. I'm just going to accept it this time, because that's fine. Your lots mean nothing to me. I don't need to strive for the noble lot. I'm going to accept my lot in life for now, before I burn it to the mother-loving ground. Plus, I kind of want to see what happens. And I get an extra perception, which I really don't need. The moments before the lash reaches you, stretches out into an eternity. The sound approaches you slowly as it slices through the air. The whip cracks. It strikes you on the right shoulder. The lash is so heavy, it bends your back and forces you to the floor. The lash cracks again. It hits you on the left shoulder. There's blood running down your back. Rise now, commoner, the priest tells you. You stand. Everything looks blurry. You can barely walk on the sharp floor. Mother takes your hand and leads you away from the altar. There is agony, but there is also unfathomable tranquility. This is right. This is what you deserve. This is how it should be. This is the way of the world and its laws. From this day forth, you will accept all suffering in life with humility and patience, for you are a commoner. For now. Perhaps. For now. Okay. Childhood is dead. I'm spineless, but I am insightful. And cool, I still have 15 willpower, and I haven't died yet, so not a bad position to be in. I should have enough willpower to save Sophia, which is good. And now I need to just keep an eye on ingenuity in this chapter.
I was growing up fast. The school, the streets, and the whole wide world awaited me beyond the gate of my parents' house.
So I don't need to go quite so hard on ingenuity on this one, because I'm already at 10 perception, and I need 13 manipulation, and perception and ingenuity get added together, so I only need 3. Okay, so Nathan's coming crying because the boy next door has pushed him down into a puddle. You go outside to see what's going on, and he said that Nathan was insulting their family, and his big brother Thomas is also there, who looks like he could beat me up. So I'm going to say that my brother is to blame, because really, he kind of did start it, and this gets me ingenuity, and I don't think I've ever done this before, so pick one of those reasons, and there you go. It takes you a few moments to compose yourself and quell your rage. Your brother has put you on the spot. He couldn't bring himself to apologise, and now you have to settle this for him. And how are you supposed to do that, pray tell? If you'd done this, grandfather would have you flogged, and father would have scolded you and given you the cold shoulder for days afterwards. You frown and ask Nathan to come closer. You address Nathan sternly. He told you these boys were to blame, but he was the one who called them names first. So how is this their fault? It serves him right. Next time he should watch his mouth. Your lecture sounds a lot like father. You think your tirade came out well enough? Nathan pouts, looks away, and furrows his brow. Still, he nods. Thomas slowly shakes his head in disapproval, then he bursts out laughing. To him, this is actually hilarious. Well, would you look at that? You're a right little nobleman. You're going to push him in the ditch yourself now? His words turn your seemingly perfect solution into a repulsive absurdity. Blood rushes to your face. You step closer to Thomas and shove him. Hard. He jumps back, surprised by your assault. It takes him a moment to compose himself, but now he's ready. His fists cover his face, and he attacks you with a quick jab. Now it's your turn to take a step backwards. Now we fight, and then we run away, and then we think, oh hey, let's actually be best friends. Which is what we do. Not a bad start, not a bad start. Surprised that didn't knock down my relationship with Nathan at all. I'm pleased it didn't, but just saying. Time to save Sophia! Okay. Yeah, it knocks me down 5 willpower, but I get a boost on ability, ingenuity, and spirituality, so boom boom. Boom boom goes the dynamite. Okay, so Sophia is now indifferent towards me, which, you know, is honestly just selfish. I saved your life. That surely rewards me slightly more than indifference. Cool, +1 on everything, including death and willpower. That's fine, I still have 10 willpower. It's all good. I think I need to save some of that for the end of this chapter. For the further Sophia choices. Okay, so Stefan's come home, and it has been just an unrelenting shithound. And he's demanded that Gloria basically do servant duty. Last time I made small talk, I don't want to insult him, because even though that gets me ingenuity, it creates bad blood, which is not a good thing to have. So I think I might just join Gloria, which is what I did on the main playthrough, which gives me a little bit of surplus willpower and increases my relationship with Gloria. So I think I'm probably going to go for that. But yeah, I just stand up and join her, and then Mother stands up and joins, and we smash it out of the park. We do an amazing job. Because even if I don't end up in with 13... You done? You done with your clopping? Yeah, even if I don't end up with 13 manipulation by the time I get into youth, there's some chances to build it while I'm there, so it's okay. I am going to... So, we've met... Well, I say met. We've seen Octavia Melanidas. She came out of her carriage, and she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She dropped her handkerchief, and we need to give it back to her. So, well, we can give it back to her. So, on my first playthrough, I gave the handkerchief back to her, thinking, oh, she might actually appreciate this. Turns out I was wrong, and she's a bit snobby. And she didn't want it back, and also had her henchman break me in the face. So, good. I think last playthrough I did keep the handkerchief as a memento, so let's do stash the trophy this time. Because I don't need 10 willpower, 5 willpower is fine. And this increases my relationship with Thomas. And you all know how I feel about my relationship with Thomas. Octavia finishes her graceful return to the carriage. It takes off and the carriage disappears from the square. Then you look at Thomas and show him the handkerchief you're holding. It's time to show him how to start earning that fortune. Your eyes single out a travelling peddler in the crowd. When you finally get his attention, you pull the splendid handkerchief from your pockets. The peddler smirks knowingly. Finders keepers. And the noble who lost it certainly won't be weeping over it. Truth be told, it's an exquisite handkerchief. It still looks quite presentable and will fetch a fair price. After some haggling with the stingy peddler, you trade it for a small fortune. 4 coins. Half of this sum you give to Thomas. But this was all your handiwork, Nicholas. You just grin at him. He can find the next handkerchief. Thomas laughs, and you head off to the fruit stall together. Nice. Yeah, there's been a lot more, new decisions I've made this time that I wasn't expecting. I honestly thought this was just going to be a blitz through, make all the same decisions again. But I'm kind of pleased it's not. I, for one, am having a lovely time. And I hope you are too. Okay, and here we go with another brand new decision that we're going to make. So it's the evening before our exams. We've got a few options on what we want to study on, because obviously Father wants us to study on law, Mother wants us to study theology. Thomas also needs help because our fort that we've built is going to be raided by hooligans, and Nathan just wants to be Nathan. I did law and history last time. I did spend a moment with Nathan in my main playthrough, so we're going to go help Thomas because that gets my ingenuity up. And I've never done it before, so nice. You push Nathan out of the room. Oh, sweet Nathan. He can't possibly help better for the exam. But once you're sure nobody's behind the door, you open the window and climb out into the yard and over the fence. And then you run like the wind to your wooden fort, where Thomas is in peril. The battle for the fort has already begun. Thomas is cornered. He swings a loose wooden plank, fending off 3 boys at once. This is not a fair fight by any means. Your friend is rugged enough to have a fighting chance against 2 of them, but 3 is too many for him to handle alone. Where have you been, Nicholas? They're going to smash our fort. Get 'em! You flank the assailants and slam into them at full speed, channeling the cavalry of the holy warriors. You take them by surprise as you pull one of the aggressors away and knock him out with a single punch to the jaw. Thomas cheers you on. You team up and make short work of the remaining foes. Your enemies retreat in shame. Thomas got a black eye and his knuckles are covered in blood, but he looks unusually pleased with himself. Couldn't have done it without you. Just look at him trying to tell us where to build our fort. Okay, time to fix her up. Your score on the exam was merely satisfactory, but still well above a failing grade. The family's not too happy with you, but life goes on and your studies continue. You know you could have worked harder to prove yourself to your teachers, but your wooden fort still stands proud, and that is all that matters. Nice. Nice. Okay, so Diedrich, the school bully, he's basically going to get his cronies to beat up Thomas, so I'm going to do what I did before and turn him over to the teachers because I want some of that sweet, sweet ingenuity, boy, so the teacher can tell him off for me. And that's the end of that. Hey, and I got the poets, which is Gloria's Secret Society. So may as well keep Gloria's secret like I did before because it gives me another boost to ingenuity and makes Gloria like me more. So all of this is as it was before. So she can stay at her secret poetry society, just be a little bit more careful. Doo-doo. So we've gone on a school trip to the Silver Tree, and we've met the Redhead Pilgrim, who tells us what we want to hear, and basically, the lots are shit, rah! And then there's Jen that says, no, the lots aren't shit, this person's crazy, rah! I did the Redhead woman. I went with the Redhead woman in my original playthrough. I went with Jen into the temple last time. I'm going to give in to the Epiphany. Oh, because also the tree is speaking to me. That's an important point I'd missed. Because nothing else really benefits me that greatly, and this gets me a destiny that I hadn't got before, so therefore, another achievement. So yeah, I'm going to give in to the Epiphany. You step away from the girl in black and the woman in white, your eyes transfixed by the tremendous, towering trunk of the tree. For some odd reason, you recall Mother's ant farm, with the ants hard at work inside, and her face as she explained its laws. It's a fleeting, distant memory, a child's realization about the workings of the world at large. And at this very moment, you see yourself and all the other people for the ants that they are. You can't look away from the tree. The people around you begin to fade away. Their voices melt together and disappear. The world that surrounds you feels frozen and still now. The slow swaying of the rustling branches is all there is. The branches catch you and raise you up. You soar in the air, higher and higher along the trunk of the silver tree. The branches, the leaves, their light is blinding. Their light holds you up and embraces you. And at that moment, you realise something. Something as clear as the daylight beating down on you from high above. This tree is divine. There's no doubt left in you. The tree was planted by the twin gods and left in this land, an ever-living proof and a mark of the twins' existence. And the tree, it speaks to you, speaks in a language you understand, in the language you learned long before you were born. It speaks of soothing love and of crystal clear law, and of love and law intertwining to bring the miracle of life to you. From this high up, you can clearly see all of the land below. From here, you see the entire empire, embroidered with a shining thread of providence, illuminated by the twins' presence. It takes you but a moment to finally realise what the teachers have been talking about all this time. The fates and the lots of the people, the workings of life in the empire, it was all created and arranged by the twins, and absolutely everything bears their mark, their design, and their inspiration. And it's in this world that you were given life. Somehow, the tree seems to realise that the revelation is now fully within you. It gently lowers you back down to the ground. You glide down between the glowing branches, illuminated by what you've just seen. You spoke to them. You come back to your senses. You're still standing by the tree, firmly rooted to the ground. The branches release you, and you're once again aware of the pilgrims' prayers and the noise of the crowd. The young girl in black is staring at you. She is clearly agitated. My uncle is a priest, and he told me that the twins can choose to speak with you through the tree, but I've never seen it happen before. Jen starts asking you questions. She wants you to tell her what it was you just experienced, but you can't speak. It's so difficult to see the temple's familiar interior again, to see the district around it and the sky above. The memory of the sight from atop the silver tree now gleams in your mind. I just hope you'll share your revelation with me someday. Don't worry, I'll get it. My name's Jen. I'm an acolyte. I work in the temple. I help my uncle clean the grounds and cook food for the poor, and I also greet the worshippers. People come here all the time. Many are lost, and they don't know where to go once they're inside. But nobody should feel lost in this place. The temple is for all estates. But then you hear your theology teacher calling you. It's time for your class to return to school. Before you leave, Jen suddenly takes your hand. You can't help but blush. Please listen to me. Few people ever see these things. The twins, they were speaking to you, and you heard them. It's a sign. You should become a priest. You'll be guiding those who cannot hear the twins. You'll be hearing their soul find the way to the top of the pillar. It's the most honourable calling in the world. You say goodbye to the young acolytes. Yet, as you return to your ordinary life, Jen's words remain in your memory from this day forth. Well, I will become a priest person, but not this playthrough, sweet Jen. Not this playthrough. Okay, so the nobleman's lot. This is Gloria has got herself in trouble. She's snuck off to the nearby ruins to write her poems, and it's dangerous there. So me and Stefan have gone to see if she's okay. She's not okay. There's some ruffians around her, so I called the guards last time, which is exactly what I'm going to do this time. So I get Gloria to safety, run and get the guards, and by the time we get there, Stefan's basically killed everyone because he's good with a sword, clearly. He's as good with a sword as he is being a prick. This is the trial for the people that were going to attack Gloria and attacked Stefan. And Father wants us to not even mention that Gloria was there. Well, Gregor does. And he's making Father go with that. I think I am going to support Father again, because it increases our reputation. And that is lower than Unity at the moment, so which is what I did before. Gloria's not going to be happy about it, obviously. Who would be? But either way, they all die. Okay, so this is Gregor Brante on his deathbed, trying to right his perceived wrongs of letting family down. He's trying to burn mother to death. So every time up until this point I've stopped grandfather, I'm torn, actually, about whether I want to do that or run away and rescue Nathan and Gloria. Because either way I get a boost in ingenuity. I do lose some wealth with this, but that's okay, I think. And I kind of want to know what happens. Yeah, I'm curious. You turn around and run for your brother and sister. Grandfather's prayers and mother's sobbing drive you to run faster. I feel really bad about just leaving mother there, though. You wake up Nathan and Gloria and lead them out of their rooms and the house without any explanation. You hear mother's shrill cry of despair from the porch. The second floor window shatters. A body in a nightgown drops to the floor. Then, another cry of despair. An old man's cry. You cover your brother's eyes to hide the sight from him. The second floor of the estate has caught fire. Gloria runs for the neighbours. You take Nathan's hand and go to Thomas's house. Neighbours and servants flock to the house to put out the fire. Together, you manage to extinguish the flames before the first floor is engulfed. The second floor, however, has become reduced to ash. You watch Mother's body turn to dust and fly away with the sparks. Nathan is crying. Gloria hugs him and says that everything is fine. Mother will return soon, reborn. Thomas's family gives you refuge for the night. His child body is taken to the family crypt in the morning. Gregor Brante has died his true death. You go there to look at him. His face is covered by the cloth, hiding its expression. Did Gregor Brante finally find his solace at the pillar among the flames, in his final living moments? Or did he die as he lived, an embittered soul driven mad because he could never truly live by his lot? Either way, life has changed. His burden no longer weighs heavy upon your family. For a moment, you're overcome with rage. Hot tears start rolling down your cheeks. This is it. You will never be able to prove anything to him now. All your future triumphs, all your words of defiance, grandfather will never hear them. He will never see you grow up. You hear a heavy door clang in the corner of the crypt. Out comes Mother, wrapped in a black cape. She is reborn. She looks around in surprise as she leaves the cold stone walls behind, then, finally, notices you. My son, Nathan, Gloria, what happened to them? You briskly wipe your face and comfort her. No one else died that night. It's hard to speak, like something's clutching at your throat. When Mother sees grandfather's charred remains, she closes her eyes with a deep sigh, then shakes so violently she falls to her knees. Then she starts whispering something. You recognise it. It's a prayer of gratitude to the twins. When she's done, she briskly wipes her face like you did. She looks younger now. Her eyes sparkle. She smiles so brightly and so sincerely. You've not seen her like that for a long, long time. Mother comes closer and pats you on the head, fondly and gently. You rescued your brother and sister, saved them from a lesser death. Thank you, my son. Please remember this. None of this is your fault. This is my final life, and I promise to live it in joy. You hear the snorting of horses outside. Father is back from Eterna. That was very interesting. That was... Ooh. Yeah, either way, Gregor's gone now. Well, he's not gone forever, is he? I have to deal with him again later, but... Still. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Hadn't even considered this, so because I've not done the Nobleman's Lot, I can't take part in the Blood Tide. So, under the last respect, it's a noble tradition to take part in the Blood Tide, where you will cut your hand and it drips blood into a trough and all sorts of weird cultist shit. And every time I've done that, but this time I can't because I did not do the Nobleman's Sacrament. So I'm going to give the dagger back. You return the dagger to Father and say you cannot participate in the ritual. You're a commoner and your back bears the mark of the lash. Grandfather would never have let you honour his name as a nobleman. Nathan nods in agreement. You do not deserve this honour. Father furrows his brow and shakes his head. Stefan, help me close the lid to the sarcophagus. And remember to ask grandfather for his blessing. That's for you too. Seems you weren't ready to walk the nobleman's path after all. You're right, son. Your grandfather would never have allowed it. The lid of the sarcophagus falls into place with a heavy, resonant thud. Then, suddenly, you all freeze as each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, and yet he speaks to each of you separately. Foul. Foul-blood weakling. I knew you never had it in you to rise above your meagre birth, Nicolaus. You have not a drop of nobility in you, and your pathetic little brother is the same. You're a taint upon my flesh and blood. Begone from my crypt. Your legs carry you out of the crypt of their own accord. Out, out, out of that stuffy crypt. You can finally breathe again. You hear slow footsteps behind you. You turn around and meet Nathan's gaze. You did the right thing. If it weren't for you, I'd have done what Father told us. Grandfather said I should stay away from his legacy. Said it'll do me no good if I try and follow in his footsteps. How's that for words of guidance, eh? Nathan sighs as he embraces you. Father and Stefan leave the crypt much later and walk to the carriage without a word. You and Nathan humbly follow behind them. Oh, wow. Got loads of willpower now. So Sophia has been given to Otten as a human servant, and she has escaped. And they're looking for her, and you know where she's hiding, so you go to her. So I can try and stop Otten, or I can help Sophia flee, or I can hide alone. Yeah, I'm going to do what I did before, and I'm going to help Sophia flee. Either way, it doesn't really work, and we get cornered. She uses magic and then gets away. And then we never see her again until the next chapter when we see her again. Okay, so it's my last night before going off to the city, and I can spend time with someone. I can't spend time with Father because he doesn't like me enough. Can't spend time with Gloria because she doesn't like me enough. She likes me, but not enough. So I'm going to spend time with Mother to get some spirituality. Because I don't know if I necessarily need spirituality that much, but I certainly don't need the willpower that Nathan gave me. And I've never done this before, so let's see. You open the door to Mother's room. She's kneeling in prayer. Her back is to the door and her whispers fill the room. She turns around and smiles gently when she hears your footsteps. You want to spend tonight with her before you leave. Mother reaches out to you. Come with me, Nicolaus. There's no need for anybody else to hear us. You walk silently downstairs, enter the empty sitting room, and light the candles. You're so close to the gods, my son. I knew it as soon as you were born. I saw them watching over you closely. Let us pray together, my son. May the twins know you honour their every touch. You stand by Mother's side as she whispers prayer after prayer. First, she offers gratitude for the life and lot you have been granted. Then, a plea to show you your path through the world, for it has no mercy. Next, a promise to heed and obey their every call. There is such fervour in her prayer, such piety. You know for certain as you pray with her that the gods will provide for you. They will ensure that your path is true, for there is no other way. The sun is about to rise. You should rest before the long trip, but you're not tired at all. On the contrary, you feel lucid and clear-headed. Mother embraces you once the prayers are done. My son, life is hard, but it's just more so for those who follow their lot. Remember, be humble in your words and work hard. But before you go, Mother removes a pendant with the twins' cross and puts it around your neck. You return to your room and get into bed. You can see the shining pillar from the window, glowing gently against the twilight's morning sky. All your worries about the long journey are no more. You feel calm and serene. Nice. Okay. Youth turn! So, nobility is very low, but that's okay. Ingenuity is at a 7, which is good. Cool. We are in good standing, ladies and gentlemen.
Leaving my hometown behind, I set out for the capital of the Empire. There, I would discover my role in society.
Okay, so I'm on 11 diplomacy, 17 manipulation. Oh yeah. 15 theology, but 1 valor, and 7 scheming. 5 eloquence. Not bad. I mean, scheming could do with improvement, but it's fine. Cool. So I feel like a lot of these decisions in youth are going to be the same as I did last time, because I know I need to join the Lotless, and I need to outsmart Philippe, which is my whole guide for this, is that I know I just want to outsmart Philippe. Okay, so I can either meet the noble youths, which will increase my diplomacy manipulation, or listen to Arkwright's speech, which will be manipulation and eloquence. Eloquence is lower than diplomacy, so I'm going to go for that. Either way, it costs me 5 willpower, so this is what I did on my first playthrough. So it's basically a speech about the lots and how there should be a new class brought in. Yeah, so Luke's sermon, we've gone along and kind of witnessed a speech on the new faith, which has been broken up by inquisitors of the old faith, and we are basically being spoken to by an inquisitor about how the twins are great and the lots are just wonderful, eh? So listen to his counsel, debate him or resist him. I've definitely resisted him before. Can't remember what I did before. I may have debated him. We'll see if this seems familiar. No, I don't think I've done this before. So you start debating the Inquisitor, mustering all your knowledge and awareness of the new faith. The lots are an error introduced by Isatius. They are incorrect, obsolete, and contrary to the way of life of the modern empire. Please hear me out, my son. In these difficult times, people of your estates are the ones most tormented by doubt. Your lot is suffering, but not all of you are ready to suffer. Some turn to guile and cunning to avoid it, and they end up in eternity's embrace at the foot of the pillar. Please understand. Your lot requires humility. Suffering is inevitable, and so is doubt. Each of them may temper your soul, yet each may also destroy it. But know this, if you have any doubts, you're always welcome at the temple. No priest will turn you away in a moment of weakness. This is why we exist. To fortify faith in the hearts of all people. To bring the word of the twins to those who have gone astray. Know this, the Inquisition does not imprison everyone we suspect of heresy. We exist to protect souls, to guide and save them. We pursue dangerous doctrines and seek to rescue every soul we meet. Arrest or execution is our last resort, reserved only for sinners beyond redemption. You can see that I am merely speaking to you right now. I have not resorted to force, nor am I giving you any orders. Do not resist this, but rather consider the following. Did the patriarchs speak the truth? You answer that Luke's sermon was far more convincing than Father Jeremiah's words. Everyone blindly heeds the writings of Isatius, who is but one man who decided he had the right to define the lives of generations to come. But people have the right to free will, you say. They have the right to choose their destiny and bear the burden of their choice. Father Jeremiah sighs in response. Oh, it saddens me to see that you've been led astray so easily. Yet you are young. You should seek to learn the truth on your own. If you truly believe you can interpret the will of the gods, perhaps you should become a priest yourself. If you come to the divine seminary and prove you deserve the lot of the clergy, you will be accepted. I teach there, and I am always happy to see students of considerable talent, even if they have been led astray. But for now, you should leave this place. You will learn nothing by facing the champions of faith. With this, Father Jeremiah leaves you and proceeds further. You leave the square freely, with dignity preserved. The remaining people in the square continue arguing with the other inquisitors. Armed champions of faith stand nearby, but they do not intervene. Luke and his retinue can no longer be seen. You walk back to the lodging house, mulling over Father Jeremiah's words about the seminary. Your family sent you to earn a noble title, but you have an opportunity to become a priest of the old faith or the new. If you see your destiny in service to the gods, no one has the right to stand in your way. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to play through this as a priest and see kind of how the story branches out, especially when it comes to old faith and new faith. I'm very intrigued about that. Okay, so me and my clique are hanging about town, and they split off into groups to go see out the rest of the night. But I'm going to go to Secret Salon because that gets up my scheming and sets me on the path of the Lotless quite nicely. So Sophia has come to see me, and she needs help with saving a man called Dexter, who is about to be found out for his lies and executed. So I'm going to help her, obviously, which is what I've done before, because that increases my scheming and valor and my relationship with Sophia. So it's all good things. So he has been saved. And now Sophia is +3, and I both gained a little bit of valor. Nice. And one more, and I am a conspirator with scheming.
I will never forget that day. For it was then that I chose the path I would walk for the rest of my life.
So the college has been shut down by Monroe, who claims that humans aren't worthy of nobility. Tui. Oh, I've never had these options before. Interesting. I mean, it doesn't matter because I'm going for the lot list, but that is interesting. So obviously I will follow the lot list. I will go, break into the college, save the people that are in there, and then grease the wheels of a revolution. Which will obviously piss off my family because they sent me here to become either a nobleman or a priest, not a revolutionary. So we've joined the lot list, and Sophia needs us to help kind of increase the numbers because we need people. I have recruited new members before. I think I did that in my main playthrough. I condemned the nobles last time. I might have done that both times, actually. Can't remember. But I've never printed leaflets before because my manipulation was never high enough. So we're going to do that because that will get me even more manipulation. Not that I need it, but still. Printing leaflets is the safest way to go. They'll tell everyone the truth about the events of the college, and you'll stay safe all the while. Now to find a place to print. Your newfound comrades give you the name of an editor of a local newspaper called Imperial Sunrise. He sympathises with the lots. He even gave Sophia shelter in her attic once during a raid. It's time to write the text that will be printed. The Arcanians consider us dirt beneath their horses' hooves. They'll do anything to bring us down and stay in power. Do you know what happened at the college? Did you hear Archduke Monroe mocking humans and threatening to kill anyone who entered the college? We did. Did you see him ready to kill innocent students inside the college before they were rescued? We did. Arcanians think they can do whatever they want. Will you keep living under their thumb, or are you ready to make change? This looks good. Sophia takes a look too and nods. She writes a brief note on a piece of paper and tells you to head to the editor's house. You give the note to the servants and everything will be ready. The editor lives in a wealthy neighbourhood. There are planters with flowers in them at every door on his street. The door knocker shines in the sun like a mirror. You glimpse your reflection in the metal before you grab it. A servant opens the door, glances at the note and asks for the text to be printed. It will be ready in a week, he says, and then the door is locked again. You return 1 week later and receive a big stack of leaflets. You divide them among the lots. It only takes a single day to distribute them all. Rumours quickly fill the streets of Eterna. On the following day, you already hear people talking. The nobles have done it this time. You better do something. It's time for a change. The next time you meet Sophia, she will reward you with restrained praise. Well done, Nicholas. I expect nothing less from you. I'm glad to have you among us. This is all going exactly as I want it to go. Until we get to peacetime and I'm going to make some sort of screw up. Okay, I'm going to do something new this time. So before the march, we are preparing for the March of the Collars. So there's going to be a public execution or burning of the stake of a load of mages or witches. And Sophia, being a witch herself, wants to stop that because it's obviously really fucked up. So I have mobilised the commoners before because I needed the manipulation. I don't need the manipulation anymore, so I'm going to show Sophia my support because it gives me willpower, which I don't need, but it improves my relation with Sophia, which is a good thing. Because she's tired. She's been working real hard. Sophia smokes her pipe, sending rings of smoke flying through the room, thinking. You look around and notice a half-empty bottle of wine, likely left behind by one of the lotless. It doesn't take too long to find a somewhat clean mug and pour some wine into it for Sophia. Then you find another and pour some for yourself. Sophia glances at the mug of wine on the table, then at you. A little smile appears on her face, almost imperceptibly. For one brief moment, she's the same girl from Anazot you used to know. The sun shining in her eyes, but her smile almost immediately gives way to grief. She takes a sip of wine and winces. You try yours. The wine has gone sour. Thanks, that was very thoughtful of you. I'm glad you're here. Every day I realise more and more that I made the right choice. I'd never be able to do this without you. She takes another sip, looking more and more relaxed now. You say you're also happy to be one of the lotless. Going against your parents' wishes to find your own way was the right decision. Sophia lets herself assume a slightly more comfortable pose in the chair and smile a little bit more. You could have been whatever you wanted, but you chose to join us. That's brave, if I do say so. We'd be enemies right now if you'd followed in your father's footsteps. Her face grows grim. Those who take by force and oppress and extort us should never rule. We shouldn't be the ones suffering because of them. It's all wrong. You know, still have nightmares about it. Sophia's voice trails off suddenly, and you understand what she's talking about. The day when she was trampled, the memory of that moment is a blur, a mess. Yeah, no, game. You've got this wrong. I was trampled. She wasn't trampled. The street shaking under the thundering hooves, screams and cries, dogs barking, the arrogant Archnean barking orders, sparks of gold. You look away, burning with guilt. Sophia laughs ever so quietly. Don't blame yourself for that. It's the world, not you. Sophia leans in closer, so close you can smell tobacco and wine. Her face is so near, and her lips are right by your ear. And we have to change it. She leans back and downs her wine. It's late. Go get yourself some sleep. I'll finish this on my own. The two of you go outside and say goodnight. You watch her walk away, wondering if she's really as strong as she looks, or just really good at playing the part. Well, my relationship with Sophia has never been this good before. See how badly I can screw that up. Okay, so we are at the March of the Collars. Sophia's got a little bit carried away and basically just ordered everyone to charge, which is going to result in a maximum loss of life and bloodshed. So I'm going to do what I did last time and hold Sophia back, which saves some lives. We rescue Alice, who maybe we should know at this point, but I don't know who she is, and gets me some more manipulation and eloquence. So good. I mean, either way, it still leads to bad things, but the interim stuff is not quite as bad. Oh yeah, and obviously Jen. So our little friend Jen from the church has grown up to be an Inquisitor, who we crossed paths with in this section, which was a fun little thing I wasn't prepared for last time. And now comes the moment of truth. Interesting. So the trap springs. So where I said this is going to lead to something not so pleasant. Basically, after the March of the Collars, we all went our separate ways for a little while, and then there was a sign to show that there is a meeting of the Lotless. So we go, Sophia asks us not to do anything foolish, and then binds us all with magic, and secret chancellery soldiers burst in, which is not good. So I have, in my original playthrough, I resisted Sophia because I was angry. Last time I surrendered. This time I'm going to create a distraction, because, interestingly, that improves my relation with Sophia, which is curious. I didn't see that happening. And it gets me some scheming, so we're going to see what this does. You clench your teeth so hard that they screech. No, don't like that. And do your best to stand up. It takes so much strength that you scream, but you finally break free of the spell that binds you, and you stand up. Neither Sophia nor the armoured mercenaries expected that to happen. You take advantage of the confusion and knock down the secret chancellery knight at the door. Then you run for an oil lamp in the wall and smash it against the floor. A wave of fire spreads quickly. Several men in black armour lunge at you. You're bound again, not by magic, but by heavy, stomping boots. You hear screams all around you. Halt! Stop them! Your distraction gave some of the Lotless enough time to break the spell and escape through the door and the small windows. The leader's commanding voice stops the panic. Let them flee. We'll find them later if we're ordered to. Tie up the wrists. They tie you up, tightening the knot around your wrist so hard your fingers turn white, and kick you in the gut again for good measure. Sophia leans over you. She whispers so quietly you can barely hear, and yet every word rings loudly in your mind. You did all you could, Brante. Do not resist them now. This is the only way I can save your life. You're dragged outside and thrown into a windowless wagon, along with the other Lotless. Soon, the wagon shifts, then starts moving. You're being taken somewhere. Okay, interesting. And I am maximum relationship with Sophia, which is not bad. Okay, everything seems to have stacked up nicely, and it looks like the Lotless are going to survive this mess. So I still can't prove that will be useful, which is fine. That's not what I was going for. But I can outwit Philippe, which is what I wanted to do. Yes! So yeah, basically, Philippe Elf Hero has given me the choice of either betraying the remaining Lotless and becoming indebted to him and becoming his spy, or reject the answer and receive true death. So I'm going to outwit him, which means the Lotless are at large. I don't know whether this is going to set me up in the exact same way for peacetime, and I'm still going to end up in his servitude, but either way, it's a brand new Destiny thing, and this is what I wanted from this, so we've done it! You pull yourself together and start thinking. You have to earn your freedom, and for that, you must prove that you can be useful to the City Hall. You cannot betray the Lotless who are still free. And so you start talking. You describe everything you've learned over the past 3 years, including your work with the Lotless, your recruitments and propaganda efforts, and the public activities you've hosted. Philippe listens carefully to every word you say. You use your cunning and convince him that the Lotless pose no threats and have no leadership, with Sophia and you out of the picture. If you're to be believed, the Lotless were already on the verge of disbanding. Sophia is silent and emotionless as you speak. Nothing in her reacts to your lies. Oh, well then. You're quite self-assured, Brante. So you're trying to tell me that your entire secret society was held together entirely through your efforts? Now, granted, you talk far better than those half-illiterate street rats. In one way or another, the Lotless would have outlived their usefulness. I have no use for the rest of those pathetic ragamuffins. Colour me impressed. But if you disappoint me, so much the worse for you. Now mark my words. From this moment on, you're my secret servant. This is your only lot in life now, as it were. You will obey me and no one else. You do not even think of mentioning the secret chancellery to anyone. You and Sophia will return to Amazot. Tell everyone you've earned a small fortune in the capital, or made wealthy friends. You're a slippery young man. Just think of something believable, will you? Once you're there, open a print shop. Don't waste too much time. This job will be your perfect cover to keep you looking busy in public. My people will pay you visits from time to time and bring instructions from me. I have big plans for your desert province. My every instruction must be carried out immediately. If you ever fail or try to fool me, your family will suffer along with you. Here, this should be enough for the print shop. Now you have something to bring back home. With a chuckle, Philippe drops a hefty pouch at your feet. It falls like a rock and makes a sound that only gold can make. Before you can say anything, he turns around and leaves. Once you're left alone with Sophia, she finally lets her emotions rise to the surface. Don't you dare call me a traitor. Do you think it was easy for me to watch my friends being killed? Nobody would have left that room alive if it wasn't for me. Yes, I bound everyone I could with my spell, because otherwise they would have died trying to fight back. I hoped I could get everyone out of there alive, but I only got you out. It was a good thing you said what you did. Now Philippe will pay no attention to the Lotless. The survivors will continue our work eventually, without us. And as for you and me, Philippe has us on his leash now. We'll have to survive like this. We can't run from him. If I don't do what I'm told, he'll have me collared and sent back to the House of Humility to be an obedient, soulless puppet. But we have each other now. We can do this. Don't lose hope. A jailer enters the room before you can say anything else. You're led out of the prison and into the yard. You wince at the light of the sun and the shining pillar. A carriage takes you back to the flop house where you took refuge after the March of the Collars. The driver kindly informs you he has orders to take you back to Anazot in 3 days. You start packing. It all feels like a dream. Everything will happen exactly as Philippe said. You have nowhere to run. You try to flee, they will find you. And they will find your family first. In the blessed Archnean Empire, there's no way to start over with a clean slate. The twins and the secret chancellery see all. Your months in prison are in the past, but can you truly call yourself free now? You'll be going home soon. Cool. Cool. The Lotless have survived, I haven't betrayed anybody, but I'm still an agent of the secret chancellery. which is okay. I mean, it's not okay. Nothing about this is okay. Yeah. So I have left the city, and I've bought a book of poetry for Gloria, because I'm a good brother. Okay, end of youth. We did it! We did it! Okay, so, as a little roundup, I have good diplomacy, well, promising diplomacy. I'm an initiate in theology, master manipulator, I'm weak in battle, I am tongue-tied, and I'm a conspirator. It'd be interesting to see how those things kind of translate into like the spy network and stuff. Oh, I'm going home.
A full adult now, I returned from the capital a changed man. Yet, my hometown was not the same as I had left it. Fate had difficult times in store for all of us.
Okay, so I'm thinking my desired outcome here is the last straw's riot. So the last straw breaks free of its chains and incites a full-blown uprising against the Empire. Because it's either that or the Free City. I think... No, I'm sticking with it. The last straw's riot. So I need unrest to be 9 or 10. I need to have grown close to Sophia. And I need to have not shown my loyalty to Philippe. Outcomes of the Brante family. I don't really care about the outcomes of the Brante family. As long as it's not the family falls apart, so I need to keep the unity up. So I need to keep the unity. I'm gonna write that down. Okay, so yeah, I need to keep the unity up because then, if whatever happens, happens. I just don't want the family to fall apart. Family. Ooh, mother recovers. Oh, okay. Disregard that. I want mother to recover because that made me real sad before. So I need unity to be at 8. Okay, we'll see if that's possible. That's definitely a nice to have. That's not a absolute must have, but it would be nice. Occupation, that's fine. None of those. Whatever happens, happens there. Okay. Let's do it. Okay, so unrest is currently at 4, and I need that to be at 9. Spy network, it doesn't matter with what I want, so I don't need to focus on that too much. I just need to focus on unrest. So I have come home. We are having dinner as a family for the first time in years. And mother is not doing well. She's poorly. She has the big sickness, which is not good. So last time I found out how mother was doing, I think I'm going to have a chat with Nathan now because my relationship with Nathan is pretty low. And chatting with Gloria and chatting with Stefan, both knock down relations with somebody else. So I'm going to chat with Nathan because Mama I'm at 5 with, Nathan I'm only at 1 with. At the table, oh yeah, Nathan's all grown up now. At the table, you ask Nathan how he's doing. Your inquiries make your little brother uncomfortable. Oh, I worked as hard as I could, studied theology, read books, but during my examination at the seminary I started talking about something else entirely. I don't know what came over me. The priest asks me, what's the manifestation of the twins' love for people? And I went and said forgiveness. What are you talking about, son? The twins could never forgive anyone for any sin. Otherwise, how could we fulfill their design? Everyone would just do whatever they wanted, since the twins would forgive them anyway. Sorrow fills Nathan's eyes. Well, the priest was furious too. Out of the seminary, you ignoramus, he shouted. So I left. And now I don't know what to do with myself. Oh, then be silent. If we must hear about the trials and travails of commoners, I'd rather learn how destiny abandoned Nicklaus in the lowliest state. You have to relate the 4 years you spent in Eterna, carefully omitting anything that might reveal your secret mission. You resume your conversation with Nathan later that night. You sit together on the back porch, away from the rest of the family. I'm glad someone cares about me, brother. You've always been there for me. It must be painful for you to see me grow up to be so useless. Things are bad for me. I try to at least look after Mother. You can ask her questions, but her answers often don't make sense. She keeps falling silent in the middle of a conversation like she did today. Her illness is consuming her. You know, if Mother passes, she may not be reborn. I dread to think what will happen to Father then, and to Gloria. Gloria's had it hard too lately. Stefan's treated her like dirt for the last year. I think he plans to drive her out of the house so her origins won't taint the Brante reputation no more. Stefan only cares about one thing now, getting our family ennobled by the sword. So for him, Gloria's just an obstacle between him and his goal. You spend quite some time in silence, gazing at the radiant stripe of the shining pillar as it grows more and more luminous against the darkening sky. The Brante family is about to face some challenging times. Okay, so first steps, we need to set up our printing business. Before I committed to the printing business because that's literally all I could do. I'm going to hire rebels because that increases my unrest, which is what I need. If there's one thing the capital and the Lotless have taught you, is how to find the right sort of people. People who are sick of the Empire and its unjust laws. People who can no longer tolerate the tyranny of the nobles. People who want to break free from the cruel shackles of their lot. There are even more commoners willing to fight the good fight in Margra than in the capital. Thanks to the growing popularity of the new faith, the new overseer who has replaced Archduke Melanidas and Prefect Eldorn's protection, the lowly estate is freer in Anazot than in any other city in the Empire. You hire people who are sincerely displeased with the current state of affairs. People who are willing to risk everything they have for a chance to change the Empire. People who look and act just like you did a few years ago. Their loyalty to you will be absolute, as long as they believe in you. They will do whatever you say, as long as they're convinced it will bring a new and better world. That's what I want. That's what I'm going for, baby. Okay, so the Brante family are hosting a gathering, as noble families or families that wish to be ennobled do. Unfortunately, Mother and Gloria sat there, not being introduced or involved because filthy commoners. But we have some options. So before, all I could do was present Mother and Sister, which helped with the family unity, but negatively impacted her family reputation. So I can share the news of the capital, which increases family reputation and diplomacy and manipulation. Or I can purchase a family portrait, which knocks down wealth by 1, but does increase reputation and unity. My concern with this is that I want the unity. Obviously, I want the unity, because it's currently on 4. I need that to be on at least 8, maybe 9 to be on the safe side to save Mama. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do, but wealth is a concern because I don't want the family to go broke again, and if that reaches 0, they will go broke, and it's currently on 4. I'm going to purchase a family portrait, and hopefully I don't regret it. The artist is scrutinising the portrait of your grandfather on the wall of the sitting room. You'll always remember grandfather like this, his heavy, searching look, his hawkish features, his imposing body, and the cane he kept in his hands at all times. As if by pure chance, you passed by Durante and mentioned that the portrait was painted by a local artist. But surely Sir Durante's skills must be incomparably greater. Would he be interested in painting a group portrait of the entire Brante family? At first, Durante politely declines. He must head back to the capital soon, and he has no time to spare for painting. But you remonstrate that you'll pay any price, and his work will be seen by the highest society in Anazot. Durant eventually succumbs to your persuasion. You spend the night negotiating with the painter. A proper portrait will take a fair amount of time to paint, and Durante's prices are high. Convincing your family turns out to be just as challenging. Gloria will not pose in a dress or put her hair in a bun. Nathan almost has to be forced to cut his hair. Stefan insists that he must be drawn to the right of his father, with Gloria behind him. Eventually, you succeed in helping your family reach a consensus. The portrait is perfect. Your parents look dignified, hand in hand. Stefan stands proudly to their right, you, in your best attire, to the left of them. Gloria brings some life to the painting with her unruly hair and daring outfit. Even Nathan seems to belong there. The portrait is proudly displayed above the fireplace in the sitting room. No one else in Margra has a portrait by Durant himself. This will emphasise our position. For once, Gloria agrees with her elder brother. At least on this canvas we're all one family, whatever our estates may be. Oh, we are in poverty now though. I need to stop spending money. Okay, so this, the infighting at home between Stefan and Gloria is it's at a boiling point. Something has to be done. they've all had massive arguments, and Father wants me to weigh in with my 2 cents, or with my tuppence, as it were. So before I send Gloria to Valona, which I'm not doing this time because of the money involved, so I can side with Stefan, which bumps down Unity, defend Gloria, which bumps down Reputation, or I can appeal to Nathan, which increases Unity, and it increases my theology, which I don't think I really need, but it does reduce with Gloria and Stefan. Stefan I don't care about, Gloria is in an okay position, and it increases with Nathan. So yeah, I'm going to go for this. See what Nathan has to say about the situation. To everyone's surprise, you turn to Nathan. He meets you with a quizzical gaze from under his unruly hair. You point out that Nathan has studied theology after all. According to the holy teachings, how should a brother and sister act? Nathan is embarrassed and replies reluctantly. Gloria refuses to accept her lot and live like a commoner. I understand her, but the gods will neither understand nor forgive her. Nathan is transfigured. His face lights up and his voice is suddenly strong. You, Stefan, don't understand your lot completely either. Ruling does not mean being a tyrant. Ruling entails taking care of those beneath one's station. What? Are you trying to teach me how to live by my noble lot, you dimwit? You side with Nathan. The prophet Isaiah himself interprets the noble lot as taking care of the other estates. So if Stefan uses his power to humiliate people who displease him, he is violating his lot. Wasn't he the one who spoke to you about the nobleman's duty to protect his family when they were searching for Gloria in the far corners of Anazot all those years ago? Stefan frowns in displeasure, but has no response. Next, you turn to Gloria. The lowborn lot is suffering. Gloria must remember that. However unfairly Stefan may treat her, she ought to bear it with patience and humility. Your sister just purses her lips in response. We all have to live by our lots. No mistakes are allowed. Isn't that right, Niklas? You peer into the eyes of your younger brother. They're filled with a strange sorrow. What's he trying to say? Oh, enough. I can handle my lot myself. Stefan marches swiftly out of the office. Gloria follows him to the door. Oh, I've heard it over and over again since I was a child. Suffering, patience, suffering, patience. So this is how I'll live. If it so pleases the noble Brantes. After the conversation in your father's office, Stefan and Gloria stop fighting for a while. Your home is peaceful at last. Or is this just the calm before the storm? Okay. Well, the things that were really important moved in the right direction there, so that's okay. Philippe El Ferro has come to pay us a visit because just my life is dull without you, Master, or something like that. And he doesn't like the people that we've hired so far for his secret society, which he has now branded the last straw. So I can either agree with him that, okay, yes, our recruitment has been a little bit shoddy, we'll do better, or I can side with Sophia. Sophia has said, well, no, we need to just recruit people as quickly as possible. We need bodies if we're going to make a difference. So before I agreed with Philippe, but now, because my manipulation is high enough, I can side with Sophia. Which is going to make Philippe a little bit annoyed with me, but Sophia's going to love me even more. Even more! Cool, we're doing it. We're doing it. You take a quick look at Sophia. She nods to you faintly. You look Sir Philippe straight in the eyes and say firmly, Sophia's right. You can't gather an underground movement if you disdain the support of paupers and vagabonds, or, as Sir Advisor calls them, rabble. After all, you declare, you don't need to prepare a real uprising against the government. All you need is a small riot of commoners doomed to fail, and for this purpose, those poor bastards will do. Your words of support reinvigorate Sophia. She continues to argue her case. That's my point exactly, Sir Philippe. Philippe frowns in disappointment. If you're both so confident, so be it. Recruit any fanatics or street scum you want. As long as they're helping us to reach our goal, I don't care. But remember that you will pay with your lives for any mistake. None of this rabble should be aware of our true purpose. I advise you against testing my patience. You're one straw away from breaking the horse's back. Speaking of straws, I believe your secret society still needs a name, right? Now he's gonna call us the last straw. Fine. The last straw will do just fine. It's simple, grim, pompous. The lowborn ought to like it. Oliver, I'm leaving you in the care of our rebels. Show them how real secret chancellery agents get things done. Oliver's like a henchman for Philippe, who now is kind of living with us, which is nice. Philippe downs the last of his flask and walks out of the print shop. Sophia shares a word with you before following him. Thanks for backing me up. If we have to do Philippe's dirty work, let's at least do it our way, right? With that, Sophia waves goodbye, scowls quietly at Oliver Moss, and walks out the door. You're left alone with Oliver. The sinewy man chuckles. We're gonna get along just fine, Brante. Don't you worry. Interesting. So this one, and this is. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of trying to get my thoughts in line at the moment. So this is basically, we've heard of a poetry society. So we've gone. Me and Sophia have gone along to see if there are any potential recruits. And before, I think I recruited the poets because they're angry at the Empire. So yeah, sure, we can use them. However, because I know about Gloria's secret society of poets, and she doesn't hate me at the moment, which is nice, and my manipulation is high enough, I can publish a book of their poetry, which is not only going to increase unrest, which I need, it's also going to increase our wealth, which is good because it gets me a little bit further away from poverty, which I like. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it real good. With a smile, you assure Sophia that you know a way to harness their youthful ardour. Yeah? Okay. Do it then. In spite of her lowly lot, your sister has been writing poems and stories ever since she was a little girl. As Gloria grew up, she easily found like-minded friends, poetry-inclined commoners like her, and you saw a number of her friends on stage tonight. Now that you think about it, you half expected Gloria to be there as well. Back home, you tell your sister how impressed you were by the Poetry Society. As the owner of your own print shop, maybe you could compile their works into books of poetry. It would be the Empire's first book on poetry written by commoners. You can turn a handsome profit and make the poets famous all over Magra. Could Gloria tell her friends about the idea? Wow. Never thought you'd have the nerve to try something like this. Sure, I'll have a word with my friends. I'm sure many of them are going to be interested. But there's one thing. They'll never use their real names in the book. Otherwise they'll get into trouble with the Prefecture and the Secret Chancellery. Actually, are you sure this is a good idea? Can you really trust the people at your print shop? Maybe you should do all the work yourself at night. That way nobody will know. You'll have to distribute the books in secret too. You shouldn't put your freedom at stake for the sake of coin. Not to worry, you assure Gloria. You thought of everything. The poets' real names and the origins of the book will remain a secret. Oh, I can't tell you how happy this makes me. There are so many talented poets in Anazot, and they never even hoped their works would see print. They'll treasure your gift forever. It doesn't take you long to get started. The compilation entitled The Voice of Anazot is soon ready. You instruct the leader and the other last straw spies to sell the books in secret all over the city. Will do, Niklaus. When it comes to this job, the younger leader is even more eager than ever. After all, many of the poems in the book are dedicated to the suffering of those who struggle against tyranny, including those who died in Eterna after the trial of the 50. You sell several hundred copies in a matter of days and receive many requests to print more. Popular, rare, and banned by the authorities, the book turns a significant profit. You keep working on new print runs and sell them easily, even at 3 times the price of a normal book. The poems are quoted all over town. They're declaimed by young people in the squares and on the streets. They're put to music and sung in taverns. They're written in paint and soot on the walls. More and more young people recite them instead of prayers. I want to scream. Can't take this anymore. Nice. Cool. We're up to moderate means. And I'm still maximum manipulatory. Master manipulator, baby. Our gift, the gift for the family, Archduke Melanidas has sent us a box of jewels. We aren't actually a supporter of him. We've never been a vocal supporter of him. We actually oppose him, but he sent it to us anyway. Probably in a bid to win our favour. So we can either give the jewels, well, no, normally we could have given the jewels to prominent nobles as gifts, which would have increased our standing. Decline it completely, which is annoying, because that would have increased unity by 2, which would have put me exactly where I want to be. But alas, I'm going to have to sell the jewels, which will increase wealth, which is good, but it reduces unity by 1, which is not what I want, because it brings me closer to Mama's untimely doom. You speak. You insist that the Archduke's jewels should not be declined, but they must not be given away either. Your family treasury needs an infusion of cash. The family's wealth is important in the eyes of society, as its noble reputation. I don't know, Nicolaus. Money comes and goes, but our family honour is here to stay. You object, reminding him that in your own lifetime the family had already fallen out of favour and risen again. For the nobles, a family's reputation is just another form of currency. Is there truly nothing more important than money and reputation? Archduke Melanidas is a villain like no other. Our family ought to stay away from him. Simmer down, Gloria. I agree with Nicolaus. Let it be so. I'll send a note to the Archduke expressing our humblest gratitude, but I'll also point out that I don't mean to change sides. I still serve my prefect and my overseer. In the meantime, Nicolaus will see to the family coffers. You promptly take the precious box and go inside and start taking an inventory of jewels. Mother, Gloria, and Nathan follow you with forlorn looks. You sell the jewels and easily amass a considerable sum. Your efforts have now ensured that the family treasury will not run short anytime soon. I don't know how far into this chapter Mama gets sick. I mean, she's already sick, but gets sicker, to the point I need to have my unity increased. As part of my spy network, as part of the Last Straw rebellion, I have had a secret meeting with somebody called Mayor Egmont, who's basically in charge of the commoners, but not properly. He's like a spokesperson for the commoners, essentially. So I can either keep the conversation I had with him a secret because he wants to help finance the Last Straw, which increases my wealth and means I have a secret plot with Mayor Egmont, or I can report the conversation to Philippe, which puts Mayor Egmont in jeopardy and increases my relations with Philippe. I'm going to do what I did in the main for later and keep it a secret. So I'll take my wealth, have a secret plot with Mayor, and we can just carry on with our secret little conversations, because ultimately I am going to start rebelling in the city and everywhere. I have met up with Thomas once more after his time in the army, well, not still during his time in the army. He's now stationed in Anazot, and I can either have dinner with him or walk away, which obviously I'm not going to do because I can't, and also wouldn't. So I'm going to have dinner with him, even though it'll hit our reputation a little bit, but that's all I can do. Plus, it's Thomas, and this is what I did in the main playthrough. So we go and have dinner, and he tells me all his woes, and we continue to be bestest friends. So, the gunpowder plot. Sophia has decided that, in her infinite wisdom, the Last Straw need to get hold of some gunpowder. The problem is that gunpowder is illegal to own in Anazot. Just before, I rejected the idea outright, because that's all I could do. However, we can make a deal with Mayor Egmont, which means I'll get a stash of gunpowder destiny, which is cool, because that's a brand new shiny achievement that I don't have, or I can steal gunpowder. So it gives me +1 diplomacy, or +1 valor, and -5 willpower. I may as well make a deal with Mayor Egmont, because we're in a secret plot together, so why not? Just slide some of that gunpowder your old body's way. Sophia can rest easy. You promised to get her the gunpowder. Alright, Brante, I'll leave this up to you. You're meeting with Mayor Egmont in several days. For the 4th time this month, in fact. After the deal you struck at the warehouse, you have to maintain utmost secrecy every time. You arrive at the usual meeting place, the Black Bread Tavern. Thick drapes hide your table from prying eyes. Egmont is already there, ready to begin his usual dinner. Roast goose with vegetables and a pitcher of young wine. Mayor consumes his food without any obvious pleasure. It must be an old habit after all. Pleasures are forbidden to the common estates. You can't help but imagine Grandfather's outrage at seeing such a lavish feast for a lowly man. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, you get down to business. Your people need gunpowder, and you know that Egmont has some. The aging businessman puts down his knife and fork and dabs his lips with a napkin. His eyes, however, study you intently all the while. How do you know that, Brante? Who else knows what you just told me? I trust you, but can I trust your people? You assure Egmont that his secret is safe with you, but sooner or later the secret chancellery will find out about the illegal use of gunpowder in his mines and exploit it as leverage against him. The industrialist's fingers drum a nervous rhythm on the table. He sighs. You're right. The risk is too big. I suppose I'll have to keep my appetites humble, even if it means closing down several mines. As for your request, I don't think I can agree. Gunpowder will make it obvious that I was involved. I'm not going to ask how you plan to use the explosives, but you're bound to make some noise. The secret chancellery will take note of it, and then they'll come after me for sure. But you're already plotting a revolt, you tell Egmont. This path leads to the gallows, one way or another. If the revolt fails, there's no way to escape execution. The die has been cast, victory or death. It's too late to be afraid of the Empire now. And when the explosions shake the city, your destiny will be decided on the streets, not in the dungeon of the secret chancellery. Egmont thinks for several minutes, then finally decides. Very well, Brante. You speak the truth. This is worth the risk. I'll give you 5 barrels of the powder, and get rid of the rest at once. Good luck out there, Brante. Use your weapon wisely. And, be careful with it. Gunpowder is an insidious and unpredictable force. It doesn't care who or what it destroys. A few days later, you transport the barrels to your secret warehouse. No other soul must ever know where you're hiding this perilous cargo. The power of destruction now rests in your hands. You feel excitement and a touch of dread. Achievement! Nice. So the Call of the Ancestors. So, I don't know if it's once a year or once every couple of years or something, we have to go to the family crypt and speak to the ghosts of the dead. And obviously the only dead noble in our family is Gregor, which means, yay, we get to speak to Gregor again, and yay, he's just a bigger piece of shit as he was when he was alive. But Stefan is... so Gregor tells the head of the family to come to him, and Father goes up, and Stefan barges in front, which is obviously not good. But I can either side with Father, which is going to up my unity, which is good. It will negate my willpower a little bit, but that's fine because I have 30. Stefan already hates me. It will make Robert love me even more, so good. And if I support Stefan, which I'm obviously not going to do because that negates my unity, so side with Father, which is what I did before, so I'm basically just getting in the way of Stefan and telling him to sit down and shut up. Ooh. Stefan is now hostile towards me, which is not good. I'm on... what did it say? I was on 6 unity, and I need to be on at least 8 unity, and I want to be on 9 unity. So the errors of youth. I've had somebody who works at the print shop come to me and say, I think I found a potential new recruit. It's this fella called Gustav. He was from a group of people back in the city called the Lotless. You heard of them? Which obviously was a problem before because I'd betrayed the Lotless, but not so much now. So I am not going to lure him into a trap. I am going to explain myself to him, because I can do that. And it'll increase my eloquence, it'll knock down my willpower a bit, but that's fine. So you'll tell Gustav that you saved the Lotless in Eterna from a far worse fate, and offer him a place in the last straw. You come to a decrepit shack by the city walls. Your eyes gradually adjust to the darkness as you step inside. You see dirty drapes hanging over a small window. The floor is rotten and creaky. Gustav is sitting on a wooden crate. He's clutching a small meat cleaver. You greet Gustav with a nod. He grips the handle tighter in response. You show him your palms to prove that you're unarmed. How is your old comrade in arms doing? You're happy to see him. Gustav smirks grimly. Yeah, right. I know all about you and the Lotless, so don't try and play games with me. I've got to get out of this city, and you're going to help me do it. Or I'm going to tell him how young Sir Brante got the commoners to march back there in the capital. You got a noble family, right? They'd be tickled pink, wouldn't they? You ask Gustav to put the weapon down. There's no reason to threaten you. We're here to help. The nervous man considers your words, then slowly puts the cleaver on the floor. You step closer and sit next to him. You tell Gustav that some of the Lotless managed to evade the secret chancellery. Omitting certain details, you name other members you were able to rescue from the slaughter. For all you know, they could still be fighting the good fight in Eterna. Your struggle against Imperial rule is far from over, you assure him. This is why you came back to Anazot, to keep fighting. But I thought you just ran off, sold us out and disappeared. So, I guess I was wrong. Yeah, he was wrong. You tell him about the last straw. This is bigger than the march now. You're planning a full-fledged revolt. You're organised and well-trained, and you still need people who are willing to fight for freedom. You offer Gustav a job and a place to stay. Will he join you once more? Will he keep fighting? Gustav nods eagerly. There are tears in his eyes. Yeah. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I was so wrong about you, Niklaus. I thought I was all alone. I thought the fight was over and we lost. I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me. I'm on your side. Our cause is just. You pat your old friend on the back. You have one request for him, however. Gustav must never tell a soul about the Lotless and your and Sophia's part in the march. You don't want the members of the new organisation to be discouraged by your past failures. There's no room for error now. Even the slightest mishap could ruin everything. He nods in understanding. Alright, my lips are sealed. I'll never mention the Lotless to you again, or to anyone else for that matter. You shake on it. Okay. Powder keg. This is new. This is brand new. This event is a consequence of your previous actions, so unrest is above 5 and stash of gunpowder. The air is chilly. Sun has set. You make your way towards the city walls, avoiding busy streets. There, by an old grain warehouse, you have an appointment with Sophia. She wants to speak to you face to face. Is she afraid of being overheard? She's already there, leaning on the old wall and smoking a pipe. She greets you with a nod. I'm glad you got here quick. Listen up. We've been in Anazot for a while now. I've seen how you handle things with the last straw. I think I can trust you. I need to ask you a favour. It's for the last straw, but Philippe can never find out about it. I need gunpowder, and I need it now. I led you to the stuff, and now I want you to tell me where they're hiding it. You ask Sophia what she needs the gunpowder for. The young woman squints and looks you in the eye. To get people rolled up. To start the revolt. Don't expect any details. You know how it goes. The longer the chain, the easier it breaks. We'll find out soon enough. For now, the question is whether you trust me or not. Just give me the gunpowder and keep your trap shut. Think you can handle that? So bossy. Okay, this is good for the unrest, which is what we need. So yes, I will agree. Also, that will put us up to 8 unrest, which puts us very close to where we want it to be. Which is good. You draw a map on the ground with the tip of your boots. There's a small mountain ridge half an hour to the east of the south gate. There'll be a quarry there. You stash the gunpowder in one of the tunnels. Sophia studies your sketch intently, then wipes it away with her foot. Glad to see I was right about you. Thanks. When the time comes, I'll be able to help both of us. Once she has the gunpowder, Sophia wastes no time. That was so loud. The first blast detonates in front of the Chancellery. The granite statue of Emperor Uther falls from its pedestal and shatters, strewing rubble across the square. Another blast. A wall of the Inquisition ward falls. Several champions of faith are killed. About a dozen apostates manage to escape in the chaos. A third blast. The bridge over the brine near Anazot collapses. A caravan of Archduke Melanadax's tax collectors are lost in the turbulent waters. This is clearly just the beginning. Sophia is not one to rest on her laurels. The Overseer is livid. Prefecture raids manufacturers and mine owners, but can't find a single superfluous gunpowder keg. Citizens are agitated. Rumours about the bombers run rampant. Some say they're criminals who escaped from the mines. Others are convinced that witches are behind the explosions. There's also rumour that the explosions were set off by enemies of the Empire. But everyone is equally horrified by the deadly, merciless force of gunpowder. It spares no one. All are equal before it. Nobles die in explosions just like commoners or clergymen. The fear that's paralysed the people begins to erode. The commoners are now armed with a weapon capable of destroying an entire army. It doesn't take them long to come to grips with this. The last straw's ranks continue to swell. Those who had their doubts are now free from them. The call for freedom resounds louder and louder on the streets of Anazot. A few powder kegs were enough to shatter the illusion of the Empire's invincibility. Sophia's plan worked. Nice. Bop. New content. Sound and Fury. Riots in Anazotta reaching boiling points. The disgruntled crowds that took to the streets 2 days ago are protesting night and day. The pavement is littered with rubble and broken glass. It's impossible to deny that you had a hand in this. The Last Straw has spent years helping the common folk of Anazotta realise that they have the right to make their voice heard. Any attempt to silence that voice has led to paroxysms of rage among the people. The Lesser Quorum petitioned Gaius Tempest 3 days ago. The petition asked the Overseer to suspend the nobility's ancient rights to be exempt from taxes. This would ease the burden of the poor common folk. But the petition never reached the Overseer. Several furious nobles barged in while the quorum was still in session. It all ended in bloodshed. The next day, the commoners took to the streets. They demanded that the Overseer adopt the quorum's proposal at once. They have clamoured tirelessly for the nobles' despotism to be punished for 2 days now. The authorities remain silent. The city is on the verge of a revolt. I need you to deal with this at once, Brante. Stop this madness by any means necessary. If these disturbances go too far, noble blood could be spilt. We can't let that happen. But how are you supposed to stop the crowd? And for that matter, should you? So, bribe the leaders of the revolt, threaten the Lesser Quorum, or take control of the disturbances. Okay, I'm going to take control of the disturbances because that gives me my +2 unrest that I need to push us into a very, very volatile territory, which is what I need. So all I need now is to not show Philippe any loyalty, and I need to grow close to Sophia, and we are good for that ending. The only way to avoid bloodshed is to take charge of the disturbances yourself. Finding the ringleaders of the protests proves to be a simple task. Excited by your offer of support, they're eager to talk to you. The meeting takes place at night. The dim candlelight casts shadows on their worn faces. You see an ancient-looking woman in a moth-eaten silk garment, a stout, middle-aged workman, a grey-eyed old man wearing the white tunic of a new faith priest. You ask them whether they understand that a massacre is about to happen. All the nobles need is a single attack by the commoners, and the Overseer will sick the legion on them. Yeah, you're right. None of us want bloodshed. But what are we supposed to do if they won't listen to us? What are you suggesting? The commoners already live their lives buried beneath the staggering burden of their lot. The nobility rules over them without realising how dependent they are on their own subordinates. But there is a way to remind them of this, and it will not require any bloodshed. All the commoners need to do is stop working. If the peasants don't take to the fields, if the merchants don't open their shops, if the miners abandon their pickaxes, the nobles will have to suffer along with them. It won't take long for them to see that the province is on the brink of ruin. The Overseer will have no choice but to relent. They ponder your words. Are you suggesting that we lose what little income we have left? Our children are already starving as it is. Exactly. The people already earn a pathetic pittance for their back-breaking labour. If the Overseer ignores the Lesser Quorum's plea, many will not survive the winter. It's a frightening proposition, but it will be worth it. We need time to persuade the others, but we'll try. I already forgot what voice I gave Basil, sorry. The next day, the city comes to a standstill. The commoners of Anazotta, including those who didn't dare to take to the streets, refuse to work until the Overseer hears them out. The streets are buried in sand. Shops are closed, the factories are empty, the unploughed fields are choked with weeds. Many nobles resort to force in an attempt to make their servants return to work, but the common folk dutifully accept their punishment without resuming their labour. Overseer Tempest refuses to send a legion against people who've not even attempted to arm themselves. Confronted by their own helplessness, the nobles ask the clergy for aid, but to their surprise, the priests of the new faith led by Abbot Leonard support the common folk. The people of Anazotta who have chosen labour as their lot must be justly remunerated for it rather than exhorted by taxation and left penniless. What kind of obedience can you expect from starving people? Only a week passes before the nobles of Anazotta are ready to negotiate with the Lesser Quorum. The petition finally reaches the Overseer. Magistrate L. Verman has the honour of announcing the response. His Grace Gaius Tempest has learned of the hardships of his people. Now hear his will. An appeal from the people of Margra has reached my ears. The misery of the lowborn is great indeed, and an honourable governor must support his subjects. I hereby command that the nobles of Anazot pay taxes to the treasury of Margra for the next year. During that same year, the taxes of the lowly estate shall be halved. You return home to find father bent over his ledger. As a nobleman of the mantle, he will be one of the first to pay the new tax. This is the first real victory the people have ever achieved. It may not be a revolt, but it demonstrates that the citizens of Anazot are ready to fight for their future. In your note to Philippe, you remark that you have avoided bloodshed just as the advisor wanted. Nice. Okay, I'm in a treacherous position with spy network, which is maybe not good. Sound of Thunder. Is this one we've seen before? Spy network under 2. Which is not good. Okay, no, this I just flicked through. This isn't one that we've had before, which is interesting. So, late one night, you send all the print shop employees home. Philip Elfero wishes to see you in person tonight. You sit behind your desk, anxiously attentive to every sound. You hear quiet stomping outside. Several men enter the room, led by Moss. Hello there, Nicholas. They are all, without a doubt, armed. They stop at the door. You hear a cane tapping on the floor as Philippe walks in. He sits at your desk and squints at you without saying a word. So, Brante, how's our spy network doing? You open your mouth, but the advisor cuts you short. His voice is utterly hostile. Why aren't you getting any results? Do you think you could fool me? Or are you just too stupid to be entrusted with such a crucial mission? How can I explain your ineptitude, Brante? Betrayal? Or idiocy? Don't you understand that your job is the only thing you should be doing? Don't you see how important it is? I'm standing on the brink of chaos, and it's about to consume us all. The safety of the Empire depends on the intelligence you're supposed to be gathering. I trust you, and what do I get in return? Idleness and wasted time. Either you're dragging your feet on purpose, or you're too witless and sluggish to obey my orders. I have no use for traitors or fools. Was I wrong to believe Sophia? Should I just dispose of you and find someone who can do better? So, my options are beg for forgiveness, which knocks the spy network down, I die, ups my manipulation, which I don't need, ups my willpower, which I don't really need, or I can lie to Philippe, which will cost me 10 willpower, and increase my manipulation, but it's fine. I think this is obviously the lesser of two evils, so we're going to do this one. You promise to use all the resources at the last straw's disposal to gather the information Philippe needs. You assure Philippe that all the resources of the secret organisation are already being used to search for valuable information. Your men are doing everything they can. The spy network is actually in a much better state than it may seem. The results you have obtained so far only seem insignificant because the task at hand is so demanding. You have to train people on the job, and hardly any of them, you nod at Moss, are master spies. They make lots of mistakes. In your personal opinion, the fact that none of them have been caught yet is an achievement in and of itself, but they're learning. You implore the advisor to give you one more chance. You promise results very, very soon. Philippe looks at you incredulously, drumming his fingers on the desk. After a long pause, he eventually nods. Oh, for your sake, Brante, I hope that turns out to be true. This is your last chance. If you fail to provide me with valuable intelligence very soon, I will conclude that your services and your life are no longer of use to me. Philippe nods to his guards at the door, and they all leave the print shop. You spend the next few days at your desk, concocting a pile of counterfeit reports for Philippe, inventing compromising details about people you don't know, so you have something to present to the secret chancellery. You can only hope that your lies will seem plausible. These reports will placate Philippe's wrath for a while, but you're just buying time. You need to act, or this will all end in tragedy. I'm working on it. So, Remy L. Verman, he is aware of my current situation somehow. He knows about Philippe, he knows about Philippe's plans, and he knows the vice grip he currently has on my testicles. So he wants to make a deal. And I can either agree to the deal and make a dealio with him. He says he can help me with Philippe, which I don't really care about at the moment because that's not the route I'm going down. Or I can evade the question. which increases my diplomacy but knocks down my willpower. I think I'm just going to agree to the deal because it gives me extra options further down the line, I guess. And we know this. This is what I did before, so I'll agree to the deal with this. Oh, I did get an achievement, though. Interesting. What was that achievement for? Steam overlay. Tell me your secrets. Ah, swear allegiance to 3 different people. Interesting. So, Nathan and Stefan got into a little bit of a scuffle. And Nathan was being a bit of a lout. And Stefan went to stop him. And they ended up trashing an inn. And both getting arrested. So, and then they have sent for me to help. Because I have to do everything in this family. So, I can only choose either ask Father for help, which knocks down 1 reputation and 1 unity. Or I can refuse to help, which knocks down 2 reputation. At this point, I'm thinking refuse to help. Even though, Stefan can't hate me anymore. Nathan, I can take the hit on. Reputation, I'm going to need to be careful of, because I don't want that to hit 0. But the unity, I don't want that to keep going down. So I'm going to refuse to help and see what happens. You icily tell Stefan that he will have to bear the consequences of his actions himself, as befits a nobleman. You will not interfere. Do you think I'm pleading for myself, Nicolaus? I can withstand any blow. That commoner's death wasn't my fault. All I'm concerned about is our family's reputation. But you don't seem to care about it all. Oh yeah, and one of Nathan's friends tried to stop Stefan and got stabbed for his troubles. Nathan stares dully at the stones beneath his feet and turn around and leave. For the crime of killing a commoner, Stefan is publicly forbidden to carry a sword for a year. This is when Father and the rest of the family finally become aware of the situation. After the verdict, Stefan spends his days secluded in his chambers. He doesn't travel or take part in social activities. Your elder brother cannot bear the shame of being seen without his sword. Nathan is sentenced to hard labour in order to pay for the damage done to the city and suffer in accordance with his lot. When he comes home at dusk after a day of arduous toil, your younger brother does not speak with any of you and locks himself in his room. Okay. Yeah, I need to be very careful of reputation now. So Father Mark has come to ye old Brante bookshop and said he wants us to print his book. His book is, as it says here, so let's all tell the twins to take their bullshit law, their bullshit will, and their bullshit love and shove them straight up their divine arses. And as much as I might, enjoy that sentiment completely, I'm going to report the encounter to Philippe. Because, first of all, I need to. And second of all, it's the only option I have. Plus, it ups my spy network and it increases my relationship with Philippe a little bit. Plus, also, it's the only thing I can do. And so this is what I did in the main thing. So the Secret Chancellery have been hunting this dude for a while. So I'm pretty sure he dies a very horrible death. Okay, I can't let unrest drop anymore. And I need to go close to Sophia. So Mayor Egmont, he has been a sneaky little monkey. He's organising a march on El Vermon's estate during a dinner party he's having. He's basically got loads of workers and miners especially that are tired of being shat on to march on a noble gathering, which is not going to end well for anyone. So I can incite a full-fledged riot, which I'm thinking I probably am going to do. Even though it's going to kill me, and it knocks down the spy network a little bit, it does bump up unrest. Recruit the protesters to the last straw, which increases my spy network, but decreases my unrest, decreases the unrest, which I don't want. Profit from the havoc, can't do anyway. Alert El Vermin, which again knocks down my unrest. So I'm going to incite a full-fledged riot. I alerted El Vermin before. The nobles have never seen the common people as a force to be reckoned with. Peaceful protest will be a waste of time and effort. No matter how many miners crowd the city streets, they will not be heard until blood is spilled. This matter cannot be left to chance. You send for Moss and Father Fuad and brief them on the situation. You're going to need a number of the last straw members for this. People who don't mind getting their hands dirty. They need to be ready by the morning. You will join the miners' march, and you will be armed. The miners may be planning a peaceful protest, but you'll make sure things turn violent. I'm going to need some guys who know what's what. That means they won't be able to trail a few dozen bigwigs for a while. It's either or, Brante. I've only got so many men. So be it. As long as they're all ready in time. Come morning, the miners march into the city, tools in hand. They're dressed in rags covered in soot and coal dust, hitting buckets with shovels and pickaxes with every step. The rhythm is as loud as it is chaotic. The miners are led by mine owners and industrialists, who are in turn led by Mayor Egmont himself. His voice can be heard above the incessant din of metal on metal. Give us back our gunpowder! Give us back our lives! If you want coal and silver, give us back our gunpowder! The entire procession repeats after him, hundreds of voices chanting in unison. The people of Anazot echo their refrain from the windows. Occasionally, a gendarme finds himself in their path and scurries away. The procession is advancing towards the Chancery building. Oliver's men join them at the north gate. They're murderers, thieves, debtors, men who will do anything for money. They look just like ordinary citizens in the crowd. As the procession enters the temple district, the white robes of New Faith priests join the grey mass of miners, while the Fuad has worked a small miracle indeed. The priests' voices join the commoners' chant. Thunderous din grows louder. The Twids are on our side. Our cause is pleasing to them. A leader joins the procession as it nears the noble district, the last straw's youngest members in tow. The miners grow bolder as they see more and more people supporting their cause. You hid in a back alley just around the corner from the Chancery, making sure your face is hidden. When the procession reaches you, you join its front ranks and let it carry you along. Your men and women are ready to spring into action as soon as you raise a red handkerchief above the throng. The march approaches the Chancery building. The ball is cut short. Unable to flee the celebration in time, most of the nobles are trapped, surrounded by the chanting miners. Stefan is somewhere among them. Caught by surprise, the magistrate barely manages to alert the city gendarmes. Their numbers are too small to disperse a mob his size, but the Anazot Legion garrison will appear any minute now. This is no time to be careless. Sensing its strength, the mob continues to chant and bang on buckets without any fear of the gendarmes. Amid the metallic cacophony, Egmont's words repeat again and again. Bring us back our gunpowder! Bring us back our lives! You want coal and silver? Bring back our gunpowder! Egmont clambers up onto a makeshift podium. Workers of Margra, our so-called protectors, are having a feast today. Let them see you with their own eyes. Let them hear you with their own ears. You are the people who harvest the lifeblood of our province day and night in the darkness of the mines. You are the people hidden from the light of day. You are the people who earn riches for our masters. The chant is deafening. Pickaxes and shovels clang against metal. This is the moment of truth. Either Elverman concedes, or there will be blood. To the magistrate's credit, he has the composure to face the people himself. The crowd goes quiet for him to speak. I understand your plight, but I will never accept such lawlessness in my city. Leave Anazot immediately, before the gendarmes and the Legion force you out. The crowd murmurs in discontent. The people are on the verge of a riot. The magistrate feels it too. He raises his hands, trying to say something else, but he's too late. You toss a red handkerchief into the air with one hand and hurl a cobblestone with the other. The heavy rock hits Elverman square in the chest. Spread throughout the mob, Moss and his men scream in unison, "Kill him!" The gendarmes soon find more rocks flying in their direction. They try their best to fight back, but your rabble-rousers rush them, followed by the enraged horde. Stop! Enough! Don't do this! There's no stopping it now. A confrontation is inevitable. Your work here is done. You try to escape the crowd, but, a force of nature now, the mob will not release you. You're only a drop in the sea of humanity, and it washes you away. Oh, I forgot that I was going to die. Soon, the nobles join the gendarmes in a bid to quell the riot. The aristocracy's best draw their swords and fight an uneven battle, few against many. People push and shove frantically. You're deafened by screams, your nostrils filled with the stench of blood and sweat. Those pickaxes and shovels quickly become deadly weapons. The mob buffets you from side to side as it moves. You barely manage to remain on your feet, even as you stumble over the bodies of those less fortunate. Then, finally, you're almost through the last stream of bodies when you hear an all too familiar voice from behind your back. "Not so fast, rebel!" Oh. Cold steel pierces your back. The tip of a sword sprouts from your stomach. A foot kicks you in the back. You're thrown off the blade and onto your feet, but a moment later you collapse onto the cobblestones. You smash headfirst into hard stone. Your nose shatters with a sickening crunch. The pain is blinding. Salty blood fills your mouth. And then darkness. Died at the hands of Stefan. Interesting. Impenetrable darkness surrounds you. You stand alone, bare to your very essence. It paralyzes you. You have an urge to cover yourself, to hide. No one should see you so vulnerable. But you can't conceal the truth in this place. You're bathed in an unbearably bright light. It has no hint of warmth in it. It's blinding. It leaves no shadows in the entire world. It's the light of the shining pillar itself. In this radiance, you can clearly see all your thoughts and doubts, your errors and transgressions, the contradictions that have permeated you since birth. They cover you from head to toe, like rough, grey tatters, but they melt away in this light. You are naked. You feel liberated and whole. It's as though all the wounds and cracks in your soul have been healed, making it the way it should be. It's as though the scales have fallen from your eyes. You see the true shapes of things now. These are the laws by which the world abides, the grand design that moves life itself. You tread a path that is barely visible in the blinding light, giving shape to everything. In this light, you see the infinite complexity of the world, from the tiniest leaf to the enormity of the empire, and this world maintains its balance by virtue of the law that was embedded in it during the act of creation. Ahead of you, two figures are waiting on the path. They are gigantic, many times taller than a man. The elder holds a lash, the younger a sword. The younger gazes at you sternly, coldly. You kneel obediently before him and lower your head. The god raises his sword above you. This is divine retribution. There is no law without it, nor can there be. Every action has a consequence. This is what shapes the world, making its very existence possible. In this moment, beneath the gaze of the merciless god, you comprehend the law that binds the entire world together. Which manifestation of the law will you live by? Cause! The blade flashes. The younger sword slashes through the air above your head. You do not yet deserve your final punishment. The law demands that you continue your life. Your form has not been completely destroyed, nor has that of the world. The younger extends his gigantic hand and shows you the way. You must proceed. The path leads you to the top of the crown of the silver tree, spread wide in the white gleam. The branches are close now. It's time to descend. You're drawn downward into darkness. The shadows that had disappeared in the blinding glow creep around you and envelop you. This is to be expected. But the purity and clarity of spirit are still with you. Something is forcing your throat open. Air. It scratches you on the inside. Your soul is filled with struggle again, and the contradictions from which the fabric of this world and you yourself are woven. The divine light that gave you clarity is fading away with each passing moment. You have to open your eyes. Above you is the dark ceiling of the crypt. You are reborn. You awaken. Your first breath is filled with pain. The crypt is silent. No one is there to meet you. With any luck, your family will never know that you died. Maybe this is for the best. The riot was an excellent dress rehearsal for a large-scale revolt Philippe will eventually order you to lead. You put your men to the test, and they acquitted themselves nicely. When the time comes, you will be ready. But do you really want that time to come? Okay, I've used up 50% of my lives. We're going to stop this one here and get this finished off in the next one. But this is all looking very, 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 very good so far. I would imagine the next part of this, fingers crossed everything goes to plan, won't be quite as long as this one, because we've kind of done most of the heavy lifting now. It's going to be like the little finishing touches on top of it. But yeah, this is good. Everything's gone pretty well so far, so hopefully it maintains that. And my plan after this one, because I've had a few people say about the priest lot, so that'll be once I've claimed my redemption, we'll be going down the priest route. So if you want to see Old Faith or New Faith win first, then let me know. So, if you want to check this out for yourself, then the link to the game page is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then why don't you go ahead and the like button, the perfectly laid plans that is the subscribe button, make sure you that bad boy. And until next time, love you, bye.